Welcome along to the EXFL Tier 2 Season 9 Canadian Grand Prix. We're here at Montreal for round 7 out of 22. Got 17 drivers heading into an 18-minute session qualifying. Some new drivers as well as returning as they're heading out onto a damp, overcast track. Alright then, first car. Right, first car out on track, about to begin their lap. Josh Hewitt on the soft compound tyres. He's back for his second race of the season. Obviously, it didn't go his way in Imola. Retiring after a few mistakes. We'll just go through the order. Carbro, fully promoted now to the McLaren. It's been a bit of a shake-up this last week of the driver lineup. We've seen Ridian, Cal, and Tom unfortunately retire, leave, so they've been replaced. Thank for them, all the races they've done and moments they've given. So yeah, Carbro's now replaced one of the McLaren drivers. We've got Frosty Life, again in the Red Bull, looking to pick up some more points. Laser Gamer, for the first time this season, racing. Has obviously made his debut at the end of last season. Got a few points. Promoted to the Ferrari now. New boy, debutant, Frosty Jack, in the Mercedes reserving today. Chaz F1, second race of the season in the Williams. Qualified fourth. Really looked on it. Unfortunately, penalties and a few mistakes did let him down last week. We'll see what he can do this time around. He is good at Canada. He has won here before, I think. Quickly double check that. Canada, yes, he has. A year ago, actually. Huh. Ams the boy, also a new debutant today, one of three. Gekabel back in the Haas, Morgan back in the Alpine, and the third debutant, Joe F1 guy, YT, heading into the first few corners, reserving for the Haas. We've got drifting off the back of two pretty solid results, P5 and P2 in the last 2 weeks. So he's gaining ground, and after a second podium, third time's the charm he's hoping for, if he can fight for the win. We've got Bluey in the Williams, looking to gain more points as he did from Australia. Rosia in the Kick Sauber in the pit lane. Nathan in the Aston Martin. Seb, championship leader, goes to the top of the times by 2/10 to drifting. We know how close it can be in Canada. We got Oren, the newest EXFL Tier 2 race winner in the Aston Martin. And we got Chubster in the Red Bull reserving. So we actually have 4 debutants. Literally, Chubster literally just joined a couple minutes ago. So we'll see what he can do. So yeah, at the moment, Jack already placing himself right in the midst of the top guys. We've had 6 races so far this season. 3 different pole sitters, and they've all taken 2 poles. Seb has had 2 poles, Morgan's had 2 poles, and Oren has had 2 poles. He got pole last week, literally by 1,000th ahead of Seb. The second time that's happened in the last 8 races. So at the moment, Seb leading the way. Even after the first time he didn't finish on the podium all season last time out, he still extended his advantage to Morgan, who decided to retire in the pit lane. I am hearing there is going to be rain at the end of the race. I don't think we've had rain all season. So, of course, Canada would probably be one of the first tracks you'd think to give us some. Oh my god, is that rain? That looked like rain. It is raining. And this qualifying might be cut short. Morgan's already retired. And did think it looked to have the potential of rain, I thought, at the end of the race. Turns out it's also quali. So Seb may have already bagged pole. And those 7 who haven't set a lap time are going to have to hurry up soon. Frosty's the only one out on track of the 7 doing a lap. As the rain starts to come down, the first spots of the season, as Frosty invalidates, nearly hitting the wall of champions. Across the line, 10.9. 1.2 would have put him about 7th. So if it stays like this, and no one can, well, they might get Bluey, but Bluey can start P10 at the moment. Nathan P9, Joe, Ams, and Jack on their debut, already qualifying in the top 10. Oren also on a lap, but on mediums. It's getting a bit hectic and frantic now with the drivers, all trying to set some laps. But yeah, I'm sure Seb will be happy. Currently 2 tenths to drifting. Drifting qualified, what? 3rd, 4th in the last couple races? I don't think we've ever seen him on the front row. I think I said last week 3rd or 4th was his career best qualifying. So a P2 for drifting front row would be his best qualifying, as Oren goes P8 with that medium run. We see the Red Bull exiting the pit lane of Chubster. Erosia just starting his lap. There is going to obviously be traffic. Gekabel's also got to get a move on. The rain isn't heavy, so it could still maybe be good enough to set a decent time to get yourself up, but I do not see, honestly, anyone challenging Seb at the moment now. His teammate Josh, 4th. He's not going to be too annoyed with that. But yeah, so far, Jack, P3. Great lap time. Only 13 thousandths off a front row on his debut. Joe invalidated. Let's carry on with Erosia. 43-1 in the middle sector. It's just got the final chicane to worry about. And it's all just kicked off. So Erosia having a little bit of a slipstream from the Aston in front who heads into the pit lane. We'll go around the final couple corners. And we'll keep it short to the line. It will be a 1 minute 12.4 to put himself P11. So these times are knocking Bluey down the order a bit. As I think that's Gekabel just trying to do a lap. Get Bluey in front of him. Don't know if Bluey's also on a lap. He is on a lap. So Gekabel might catch him actually, because of the pace difference these two share. And yeah, Morgan really not caring that much to set another lap. Bluey does pull out the way eventually of Gekabel as sliding out. The Canada incident flashbacks right there. Chubster heading through the middle sector as well. Chaz heading through the final sector. Carbro still in the pit lane. Frosty on an out lap. We'll see what Chaz can do then. 6 times a race winner. He's invalidated. And he's going to have to go again. Gekabel has stopped at the hairpin to let the drivers go. Don't know what happened there. Chaz is retired. He will probably start, if Gekabel now can at least do a lap time. Chaz will start this race from last. And we'll see what the Red Bull can do. I think Frosty may have hit the wall there. Anyway, across the line, it's a 1 minute 15.4 to go. P13, slowest of the 13 lap times. But it has put himself ahead as Erosia has decided to call it there. Gekabel, 14th. That does put Chaz in 17th and last. And Frosty, and it's definitely wet now, the track. So I think that's it for... We know who's going to be on pole. It's going to be Seb for a 3rd time this season on pole. Oren saying he went out on 5 laps of fuel on mediums. He's unfortunately screwed up his qualifying a bit. And Laser Gamer, P7. I'm sure he'll be very happy with that. Just like in Vegas last season when he qualified 5th, as he is just sliding into turn 1. He predicted himself a podium today. Great. Yeah, I think that's deserved. This is what you call special. And that's really unfortunate for Ams. I don't know if he really would have found any time because of obviously the conditions. But that does drop him down to 12th then. That promotes Oren to 7th. Joe to 8th. Nathan to 9th. Erosia into the top 10. And Bluey will be 11th. And Carbro exiting the pit lane now with 7 minutes remaining. So Seb is on pole then, drifting, career best, front row start. Frosty, well, there's already another Frosty, so I'm going to call him Jack. Jack on his debut, P3. Josh makes it 2 RBs in the top 4. Ams, top 5 start on his debut. Morgan, P6. Laser will start in 12th. Orange 7th. Joe 8th. Nathan 9th. Erosia 10th. Bluey 11th. Chubster 13th. Frosty 14th as he's retired. Gekabelg 15th, trying to go on another lap. I think he's racing with Josh here on the inters. And there's even more contact. But, yeah, Carbro, probably the last one to do a lap then. And it seems like Carbro didn't realise. It looks like Josh is just getting his racing action on at the moment as they dive into turn 1. And Josh loses it. So we'll see what Carbro can do then. The last one to set a lap time. Don't know if he's invalidated. Well, it doesn't say he has. He's probably gone too slow over the corners to warrant that. He'll start his lap then as DRS is disabled. And that confirms it all as he slides into turn 1 as exiting the pit lane is the Red Bull on the inters. And I guess the reason why some of them aren't retiring is because obviously it might rain towards the end of the race. They need a bit of practice as that Ferrari is still hazardous. Carbro trying to just keep it on the island. It's losing the rear everywhere. 25-2 for the first sector. Slides in Sebastian Vettel style fashion. They're all struggling here. It's one of the most bizarre qualifyings I've seen in a while. But he'll carry on with his lap time. But he'll go across. And that's invalidated. Ichabod heads into the pit lane. Or tries to. It's just crazy. Joe off there on the wets on that Haas. And I'm sure one by one they'll all retire. Josh 3.1 down on his run. I think that's drifting behind him. Just under 4 minutes then. It's not the usual qualifying you'd expect. It was one of those where the first lap counted. And the first lap has been taken by Seb to be on pole. Drifting. Career best front row start. Jack on debut P3. Josh, Ams, Morgan. Laser has a 5-place grid penalty, which is very much deserved. So, yeah, as standings go, Seb currently leads by 27 points ahead of Morgan, who's a further 27 points in front of Oren, who is, well, I was going to say level on points with Tom, but he left, and then Ridian's 5th, but he left. Gekabelg next on 47, 6 points behind Oren. He'll start down in 15th. Then Ben94 is not racing. Erosia 33 points. Frosty 32 points. Drifting 30 points. Give me a sec. As, yeah, one by one they start to retire. Right, just 50 seconds left then. Looks like they're getting in their experience on a definitely into track. Alright, checker flag falls. Just trying to get info. Alright. So after a very interesting qualifying and some very special moments, there's your grid for the Canadian Grand Prix. Apologies if that was a bit uneventful towards the end. They were just trying to get their experience in because it might rain at the end of the race. Alright, just wanting to get one of the drivers to send the weather icons. I didn't see that, just if someone just left. Just looked up. There we go. Yep, so it will rain towards the end. Right, here we go then. The first, oh, it was Frosty who left. The first race of the season where we're going to see rain. But first out, we're in the dry. We have 35 laps ahead of us. Seb on the left, drifting on the right. The 5 lights go out. Now it's lights out and away we go at the Canadian Grand Prix. Seb gets a perfect start to lead into turn 1 and then drifting, and then Josh Hewitt, but down the inside Jack makes contact with the RB to hold on to P3, and now it's 4 wide as Jack and now Ams go into 3rd and 4th, and Josh drops down to 5th. Oren, then Morgan, then Nathan, then Joe, then Erosia complete the top 10. Sliding as the Aston Martin, as making contact is the Ferrari and the Sauber and the Williams of Chaz, as Frosty is disqualified for going the wrong way. Don't know what happened to him there. So a lot of contact through the midfield as Carbro and Gekkerbelg are fighting wheel to wheel. Gekkerbelg on the inside on the hard compound tyres. Willie brake later. They're going to go wheel to wheel, as it seems like Joe is holding up quite a train, letting the top 7 get away. Down the inside goes the Aston Martin of Nathan versus Joe for P8. And I think there's a yellow at the back. It's Laser Gamer. Seb then leads from drifting. Then Jack And then Ams, biggest gain at the moment. Gekkerbelg and Carbro and Chaz have all gained 5 places off the start as they finish the first lap. Nathan, 3 second already. As going to the inside, Carbro versus Gekkerbelg still. They're going to go wheel to wheel into turn 1, hanging it around the outside. Goes Gekkerbelg versus Carbro. A little bit of contact as Chaz is looking to get the pair of them. And he looks like he's ahead of Carbro. Can he get Gekkerbelg as well? Chaz F1 to the inside. He gets the pair of them. 7 places now for the Williams driver. Into the points. But I think he might have damage. Yes, he does, to his right end plate. As Carbro and Gekkerbelg are still going at it. And Carbro now gets in front. As Horosia now joins this train. Now trying to get past Gekkerbelg. On the hard compound tyres against all these medium runners. He's going to try and hang it around the outside. And somehow they don't make contact. And Gekkerbelg stays in front. As Josh Hewitt is fighting Ams. And gets in front of him. But there is contact to send Ams onto the grass. And Oren makes his way through one. And can he get the other? He's got the DRS. But so does Josh. Josh with barely any battery. Oren now up into P4. Making his moves. As Jack all over the back of Drifting, who's trying to keep within a second of Seb, hasn't got the DRS. Joe Fongai now a 3-second time penalty as he is on the back of Nathan. And now he's alongside Nathan. And now he'll go to the inside and take the place on Nathan. As Nathan's still there though. Slight contact sends Joe wide. He'll get a good exit. And it looks like he's got the place. Chaos. So we got hard runners of Jack, Morgan and Gekkerbelg. Everyone else on the medium compound tyres. Already 4 people with penalties. Joe Fongai, Nathan and the 2 at the back of Bluey. And Laser sending it to the inside. And once again, making contact. Jack now with a 3-second time penalty. One of the top runners now gets a pen. Drifting just hanging on to that 1 second as Oren and Josh 4th and 5th. Chaz making more moves as he's on the outside of Nathan. Nathan to the inside. Chaz will hang it around the outside. Joe goes a bit deep. Now Chaz will have the run, but he's lost a bit of time there to Nathan and will have to stay behind. 44%. Nathan with 10%. And Joe with 5% as Josh gets past Oren into the hairpin. And Oren can't do anything to hang it. As Ams and Morgan are joining this fight. As we see Nathan. And going across there. Oh, into the wall is Joe F1 guy. As Morgan and Oren. Everywhere you look, something happens. Oren and Morgan making slight contact. And it seems like Morgan's got the place. Oren loses 2 spots there as Chaz is ahead of Nathan. Who's under pressure from Carbro. Carbro will send it to the inside of Nathan into the chicane. They now make contact, but they're still wheel to wheel. And Carbro looks like he's got the place. But Nathan tries to send it back to the inside. Carbro moves right out the way. Which gives Nathan no second invitation to get the move. And they're still wheel to wheel as they enter the 3rd chicane. Nathan doesn't leave any space there and there's contact. Which puts Chubster into the points as we have a yellow of, I think, still Nathan. And going off there is Carbro. Absolute chaos. As down the inside goes Laser on Bluey. Nathan and Joe at the back. Drifting's closed the gap to 6/10. Frosty on Jack on the back of Drifting as well. Josh holds 4th for now. Morgan, then Oren, then Ams and Chaz. 5 seconds nearly behind these lot. But he's made his way through the field pretty well. Gekkerbelg as well and Chubster as well. Avoiding any chaos. Has found himself up into the points. As, yeah. We really watched you get a podium, mate. Nice one. As Josh gets a 3-second time penalty. As, yeah, Frosty says it was the game. Just checking the chats again. Right. That should be it. We're on lap 5 of 35 then. A 7th of the way done with the race. Seb then not too far in front of Drifting, who's closing the gap slowly to the RB. And all over the back of the RB is Morgan trying to get back past Josh. And he does get the place. As Jack and Drifting into turn 1. It seems like Jack is going to get the place. Drifting is going to hang it around the outside, but Jack is now up in a second as Drifting lags. Thought he was going right off there as the top 3 pulling away from these 4. Chaz a bit on his own, trying to hang with the wing damage as Oren and Morgan fighting there. And it's not often you see a place swap there, but Morgan still in front of Oren as Josh just trying to keep it on the road. As Morgan, then Oren, then Josh, then Ams on the back. And all this battling has led Chaz to gain a second as Oren may have made a mistake there because he's lost ground. And he's now behind all 3 of them. And even more time that Chaz can gain on them. So, interesting with Jack on the opposite strategy to the other 2 he's near. Josh gets back in front of Morgan. The more battling, the better these 3 in front have. But there could still be safety cars as Orosia gets in front of Carbro, but not for long because he's in the wall. And we have a VSC because of that. Time to actually slow everything down. So far we have lost Frosty because of, I think, a glitch that disqualified him, unfortunately. And with Laser Gamer, who retired on his own accord in the pit lane. We still have 15 drivers left. Now we have 14 because Erosia has given up in the pit lane. So Joe will be able to get in front of him. So this allows them, as Josh gets a drive through under the VSC, and that's going to really affect his race. So Jack all over the back of Seb now as Josh drops down the order. I think he's just keeping out of the way. As what happened to Oren? As Jack takes the lead from Seb before we end lap 7. Something happened to Oren. He's down in 11th. Well, he's lost a lot of time, and that's quite big for one of the top contenders as Josh is coming in to serve his drive-through. Hopefully he carries on. As yes, Seb loses the lead. Then Jack on his debut. Unfortunately, yes, he has that 30-second time penalty, but it's still early in the race, and you never know what could happen. Josh, where will he emerge? There's Oren going through, but he does have to do the first corner. Josh will exit, and will he be in front or not? There is Oren, and he rejoins behind him. So Nathan and Bluey fighting for 12th and 13th. Seb right on the back of Jack as Drifting has lost a second to them as Joe Fongo gets another time penalty. Didn't realise Josh also had one. So yeah, Chaz finds himself in 6th after starting 17th. And he's only 2 seconds off Ams, who's keeping with Morgan. So yeah, Chaz really in the fight. Unfortunately, yes, he might have to change his wing. Ams in the slipstream of Morgan, just staying with him. And Seb keeping with Jack. Does he go to the inside? Ams now has a time penalty. Seb to the inside of Jack as they go wheel to wheel for the lead of the Grand Prix. Seb hangs it round the outside of Jack. There is slight contact between the two, but Seb looks like he's got the momentum to take first place. Is Jack going to keep his nose in there? Yes, he is, and there is slight contact because Jack now gets a penalty. And he really should have backed out there. But that has let Drifting catch these two now. You don't really keep your nose in on the inside of that corner. But anyway, Carbro gets the second penalty as Jack gets back in front of Seb. And now Drifting's all over the back of the RB. Drifting, who's going for his first win still, goes to the inside of the championship leader but stays behind for now on Seb. And Seb will be looking to gain back ground. Similar ERS levels between the two. Jack on the hard, still trying to stay in front as Chubster now finds himself in 7th, fighting with Gekkerbelg. So, yeah, he's got the place, but Gekkerbelg will obviously have the DRS to come back at him. They're still wheel to wheel. And with the DRS, he'll get back in front as Seb takes the lead back from the Mercedes, who's trying to hang it around the outside and still is on the inside, but Seb looks to have the place done. And for now, the top three scrapping it out. 4.2 in front of Morgan, who's just trying to gain on these guys. And if they carry on, you never know. And there is Ams just trying to hang on. Chaz trying to gain. I'm sure with a full front wing, he may have already caught them. I'm sure that is going to be losing him some performance. Gekkeberg already a second in front of Chubster. Oren looking to close down the gap with Carbro. Not too far behind him. Josh, good on him for not giving up and carrying on. Still a long race to go. As sliding out there is Bluey fighting Nathan as the top two fight, and there is contact as Jack sees himself drop behind Seb and drifting. So now drifting finds himself in second in a net chance to get the race leader. They've all burnt a bit more battery than what they were on, about half of it. And this is going to come down to penalties as well. With how many warnings. Jack is all over the back of drifting. He goes to the inside. Now backs out to the outside. And drifting hangs in front of the Mercedes still. 3.6 now. 3.4. 3.3. Morgan is gaining time out of these lot. Chaz keeping the gap a little bit constant. As Gekkeberg fully pulling away now from Chubster. As in the pit lane, Josh, this might be his first stop. Going on to the hards, we have a yellow. That was weird. Who was that? Was that? Oh, it was Chaz. Because he's lost a place to Gekkeberg now. So unfortunately, Chaz has lost it somewhere. And he's lost about 3 seconds. So unfortunate for the Williams driver. Gekkeberg now finds himself in 6. We'll look at positions changed. Yeah, Gekkeberg and Chaz really making a lot of moves. Carbro and Chubster as well. Wait, Oren... Oh, no, Oren didn't make a mistake. He pitted under the VSC. As Ams is pitting now. Top 3 haven't changed for the first time in a couple... for the first time in a lap or so. Since the start. So yeah, Oren pitted under the VSC for hards. Interesting. Might be a 2-stop. Because I don't know if he's going to take those hards all the way. But interesting from Oren. I was going to say, it's unlike him to make a mistake this early in the race. So Chaz also pits. Changes his front wing. Will rejoin in clear air as Josh Hewitt gets a second penalty. So yeah, Chaz will now be in free air to gain and try and undercut Gekkeberg. As it looks like the first pit stops are happening. That means the top 2 will pit and Jack will be in a bit more free air. Seb nearly has a second on drifting with quite a bit more battery. And we'll see who pits. Can drifting try the undercut on Seb, or will Seb pit now? Seb carries on. Drifting follows him. Top 3 stay as they are. Jack's got a good run out of the last chicane. And now using his battery will try and get drifting into turn 1. He's still staying behind. Will he brake later? No, drifting will. And hang it round the outside and stay in front. But Jack now sees an opportunity for a switchback. But hasn't got the momentum. And drifting keeps hold of second place. Good racing. Ams gets another penalty. We have a yellow. And that's Joe F1 guy. Unfortunately, not having the greatest race. If there is a safety car that can bring him back into it. A lot of people have penalties already. So if there is a safety car, this can really help Chaz. So he's still in the fight as wheel to wheel between drifting and Jack. Just about enough space left. Morgan. Again, don't discount him. He's really eking out the gap and bringing it under 2 seconds now to the top 3. Morgan, the closest to Seb in the World Championship. It's not over for him yet. Gekkeberg, 5 seconds to these guys. Is definitely going to get undercut by Chaz at this rate. Oh, wait, no. Chaz changed his front wing, so he's still got to gain quite a bit. Oren, he is currently 12 seconds off the leaders, but remember, he has already pitted. But he might have to pit again It's a bit of a gamble for the Aston Martin. As the top 3 still not pitting. Josh Hewitt gets another time penalty. Drifting, just trying to hang on in front of Jack. And Josh has unfortunately given up, not even in the pit lane. Second race in a row, Chubster speeds into the pit lane, which is very unfortunate because he was running in the points. Is there anyone who hasn't made a mistake at the moment? So yeah, the top 3 going along with these mediums. Well, the top 2. As Chaz gets in front of Nathan and Chubster exits the pit lane behind them. So Chaz looking well, looking good. Fastest lap goes to Jack still. So Jack has some serious good pace, I think. As the 2 McLarens now swap. So Am's in front of Carbro. And Drifting still trying to hang on to Jack. Do any of the top 2 pit now as Chubster gets in front of Nathan for P10. And what do the leaders do? Stay out. Morgan only 1.9 behind. He's used a lot of battery though. So has Jack. Who's a little closer to Drifting, but Drifting has the straight line speed and more battery to hang it around the outside. There is slight contact, and that does send Jack off a bit, and that has let Morgan catch to the back of him. So another incident between the top guys. Morgan finds himself in a net podium due to Jack's penalties, and Nathan now 10-second for speeding in the pit lane has obviously increased from 5 to 10, and this pit lane is one of the more difficult ones because you're obviously going at full throttle and going straight on, and it's just a question of whether if you can slow down or not. Drifting's met with a bit of a dilemma here. He wants his first win in EXFL Tier 2, but he also will probably be wanting to help out his teammate who's trying to fight Seb for the championship. So what does he do? His best chance now is to obviously fight Seb and hope Morgan catches and see what happens. They'd obviously want a 1-2 out of this because it is potentially on the table. They stay out. Morgan also on the hards, which is also very interesting because he can also go long and he will be on the quicker tyres at the end. Don't discount Morgan. Oren sliding out to the final couple corners. Gekabel keeping the gap constant. The leaders are all closing in one another. They're all within DRS of the top 4. And right, let's see who's made a stop. Everyone from 6 onwards, apart from Carbro, still waiting on the top 5. Oren was 12 seconds off the leaders. Now he's 10. And like I say, warnings are also going to play a very interesting part in this, penalty-wise. We saw last season the win be decided on penalties by half a second. Callum won out ahead of Logan. As don't discount the rain as well. That's also a big factor. Are the hard runners of Jack and Morgan trying to make it out to the rain? Is that what Oren is trying to do as well? We know the last, well, 7 icons means about 5 laps for each icon. So the last 15 laps or so, we could see the rain start to happen. So within the next 4 laps, well, in 4 laps, the rain could start to hit. So is that what the top 2 are doing? Are they just trying to eke out as they have a safety car? Because I think Gekabelga's lost his front wing. And I don't know why he's done that. But yeah, Gekabel lost his front wing, has caught the safety car, and now they are met with a problem. What do? Do they pit for dries? Do they pit for inters? Because the rain will be coming soon. So Oren, this will help him at least catch up. Yeah, I'm sure those mediums of the top 2 were screaming. 17 laps in, halfway done with the race. Now we have a safety car because Gekabelga's lost it. Carbo pits for the inters, so he's going for it. But remember, on a dry track, those inters are going to start to be destroyed after a couple laps. Seb slowing them up. And I very much hope none of these guys speed. Yeah, it's no doubt they'll all pit. But for what tyres is the big question. Seb slows down. Jack stays out. They don't speed. Oh, they're going to have to stack at Alpine, but I don't think they should lose any positions. Jack stays out then. Interesting. And what do they put on? Seb puts the soft compound tyres on. It's not a bad play. Same with drifting. But Morgan is going for the intermediate tyres. Ams on the hard, staying out. Chaz, what will he do? He decides to stay out, and that's probably a warning. So Oren finds himself in front of these guys now. It's not a bad play from Seb and drifting to go on softs, so they can just go to the rain period as quick as possible. The rain will start to hit probably in a lap or two, and it's going to only get heavier. So track position is key. That might be why Jack has decided to stay out and just hold out until the rain hits before they all dive into the pit lane. This race is getting more interesting by the lap. Morgan finds himself in P6, so he did, well, even if they didn't have to stack, I think he was going to be behind Ams anyway. So Ams has 9 seconds, Jack has 6 seconds. There are only 5 cars without penalties, and you never know, those could be the top 5. Louis finds himself in 10th. So we have lost Frosty, who got disqualified off the line. Unfortunately, it wasn't his fault. Lazy, who retired after a couple laps. Erosia, who gave up after a couple laps. Josh, who gave up after about just before halfway. Jeez, they're really cutting. As there's the rain. They're really cutting the last chicane. And we lost Gekabel because he crashed and lost his front wing. Yep, the rain has hit then. So, what do the drivers do? Who is the first inter-runner? It is Morgan. And then Chubster, and then Carbros. Yeah, then Chubster, then Carbro as they swap there. Joe F1 also gets brought back into this, but I've just realised he's lapped. He's in between, and I think so is Nathan as well. So Jack has 2 lapped cars between him and Oren. As the rain comes down. Oh, this is going to be very interesting. Hopefully these two in front of Oren don't do realise they'll have to cross the line before they can give places. Otherwise, it's going to mess things up for Oren and maybe Seb and maybe drifting for illegal overtakes and such. Safety car will probably be out for another lap. So this might be some of the drivers' last chance to see what they will do for their strategy. Will they pit at the end of this lap to go on to the intermediates, or will they brave it out? Because the track, I'd say it's Inter's level, because the track is definitely having more water on it. So we'll see what Jack does. Same with Orange, same with Seb, same with drifting, and Morgan may have just pulled a blinder here because he's the first inter-runner. Yes, his tyres will be a little shredded. Jack does decide to come in. So does Oren. So does Seb. So does drifting. And so does Ams. So that does mean Morgan will be the net race leader. And that does allow the two who were lapped to unlap themselves. Because the leaders pitted, and that does allow Joe and Nathan to carry on with the lap. It promotes Morgan into the lead, Chubster into second. He did serve that 10-second when he sped in the pit lane. Carbro is now on the podium. Jack resumes in front of the drivers he was fighting, and suddenly you see Seb and drifting 1 and 2 down in 6th and 7th, and Oren, who pitted under the VSC, in front of them both. Chaz as well in 9th. Kick me out my party again. It does that at least once every race. Bluey in the points, 50 seconds clear of the next car. I do not know if Nathan and Joe will catch. Nathan's going especially slowly because obviously he is on the softs, so he's going to struggle, so he's going to have to pit as well. Let's just quickly check the tyres. Everyone is on inters apart from Nathan. They are going to have to get a bit of a move on. I have no idea if the safety car will come in this lap or not. It has been out for quite a few. It is in this lap, so that is unfortunate for Nathan and Joe, and Bluey, actually. I've just realised Bluey's not even caught the leading pack. I think Carbro said his AI pitted for inters or something. I don't know if that's... Well, maybe that was maybe that was the right thing. Anyway, Morgan will lead them, and the rain's only going to get worse, so it might even be wet tyre level by the end of the race. But can they make these inters last? Morgan is going to get a move on Nathan. I can't blame him, really. Morgan carries on then and begins the restart from Chubster, from Carbro, from Jack, from Oren, from Seb, drifting, Ams, Chaz, and then Bluey. About 5-6 seconds off these guys. As we see Nathan's car there. Morgan will carry on then in the lead. And then riding on board with the driver. Sliding out is Jack. And I don't know if he got hit there, but he's dropped all the way down the order. And Chaz now is looking to make some moves. We know he likes to make a bunch at the restart of a safety car. As sliding out there, Carbro looks like he's got a chance to take P2 away from Chubster. Will he leave him any room, though? He doesn't have to, because he's now in front. And he gets the place done. Very nice from Carbro. It's let Morgan, though, clear away over a second, as Oren is now looking to gain on Chubster. Goes around the outside, gets the place done. What about Seb? Does he dive it to the inside? No, he has to stay behind. So Oren making moves. And the top three in the championship now find themselves first, third, and fifth. As the top 8 all close in on one another. Carbro making sure Morgan doesn't get away. But unfortunately, with 6 seconds of penalties, I don't think he'll be the winner today. It's up to Morgan now, who's pulled a great strategy in the safety car window. Chubster already dropping behind as Oren's all on the back. As Seb can't find a way past the Red Bull at the moment. Drifting under pressure from Ams, who's going around the outside. And Chaz watching this all unfold. Chaz and Drifting, who already had an incident or two in Imola. They find themselves near one another as Drifting lags. As losing the rear there is Seb, as well as Chaz. And that's going to hold them all up. And there is a bit of contact between the RB and the McLaren, who's trying to go through the pair of them. Drifting round as Drifting watches. To the inside, Seb and Ams make contact. And to the inside, Chaz and Drifting make a bit of contact. And Seb is struggling now in front of Ams. Chaz does get in front of Drifting. And Jack, after spinning, has nearly caught these lot. Chaz finds himself now in front of the Alpine. Carbro closing up to the back. Don't discount Oren for the win as well. All happening on lap 22. As Seb trying to close in on Chubster, who just avoids the wall there. So Drifting now finds himself at the back of this train. Well, second last now as Jack's joined the train. I'm sure Joe will be open for another safety car. And the 5 who have not got penalties are also going to have to watch themselves with their warnings. Oren closing on Carbro. Carbro closing on Morgan. Carbro showing really good pace in the wet. No overtakes happening into turn 1 from 4th down to 7th. But Chaz is all over the back of Ams. And they're all going to need to deploy their talent in the wet. As Chubster now 3 seconds off the top guys as Morgan loses the lead to Carbro. Sliding around the outside to take the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. But he's not held it fully. Morgan and Oren now wheel to wheel. And this is pretty much for the race leaders. Oren, can he get the pair of them into the chicane? Oren takes the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. Or will he? Because Connor is still on the inside. And now it's 3 wide for the lead. As Oren, then Morgan, then Carbro. As Morgan to the inside. Carbro trying to not run into the back of Oren, who is now in the lead. And Morgan is fighting away with the McLaren. And Carbro gets in front of the Alpine. Morgan drops from 1st to 3rd. Oren goes from 3rd to 1st. The Aston, who's looking for back-to-back victories. Won for the first time last time out in Imola. Looking to go again in Canada. As Connor gets another penalty, which is really going to drop him down as Ams is all over the back of Chubster. Chaz watching this unfold. And Ams doesn't unfortunately have the battery. But then again, neither does Chubster. Nearly runs into the back of him. So, Carbro a second behind Oren now. Oren, who's really playing his cards perfectly. With strategy. With his overtakes. And Seb closing in as Chubster gets overtaken by Ams. As 5 cars separated by about a second here. Chaz to the inside. Does he get the move on the Red Bull? He's still there, but he's going to have the momentum. Does the Red Bull 2 block him off? And through goes Drifting on Chaz now. Seizing the opportunity to get himself back up in a 7th in front of the Williams. But what will Chaz do? Will he go to the outside? No, hang on for now. Drifting. It's so nip and tuck here with the braking to not run into the back of a driver, especially into this next corner, into the hairpin. Will Chaz go for it? Drifting goes defensive, and Chaz does run into the back of Drifting. And they're still wheel to wheel. Jack watches this unfold. Drifting stays in front of the Williams. Seb has now caught Morgan as Joe gets a penalty. So the top 2 in the World Championship, 3rd and 4th now. As Seb looks like he's got the pace now. As diving in, Morgan. Is Morgan about to play another strategy blinder? Is he going on to the wets? It's got to be the wets. It's the wet compound tyres for the Alpine with 10 laps to go. And once again, Morgan blinks first. We'll see the McLaren there. Yeah, McLaren, who have completely changed their driver lineup. And from 2 great drivers who've scored many points and podiums to 2 pretty much, well, inexperienced. Well, Carborough's got a lot of experience, but in terms of actual results, maybe not. As Jack has caused another yellow going off there. But anyway, yeah, McLaren find themselves 2nd and 4th as Drifting and Chaz, for probably the 3rd or 4th time today, fighting it out. And they're wheel to wheel, leaving enough space. Both blasting their battery. They both want the position. Drifting is in front. Will Chaz brake later? No, Drifting hangs it round the outside. Literally, his name drifts. And Seb gets in front of Carborough. But he's still on the inside, so Drifting gets the place on Chaz, who's still there. And Carborough gets in front. Chaz versus Drifting, round the outside. Seb seems like he's in front of Carborough. And they're still wheel to wheel for 2nd and 3rd, and 6th and 7th. Carborough stays in front of Seb. Drifting stays in front of Chaz. The rain is getting heavier. Drifting 3 times more ERS than Chaz, as Seb gets a better exit than Carborough. They're losing time to Oren, who's running away with it. Seb to the inside, brakes later. Carborough hang it round the outside is what he will do. Using the space Seb has left him, but Seb has the momentum. Seb finds himself back up into 2nd. Looking for 6 out of 7 podiums at the moment. As Drifting gets in front of Chubster, as Chaz is trying to also do that. But Drifting now gets the place. Onto the grass goes the Red Bull, and that is where Chaz seizes the opportunity to get in front of Chubster. And now he's going to be under pressure from Jack. Drifting through the corners. As Chubster under pressure from the Mercedes, who's going to blast his battery now to try and get in front. Chubster not using it. He sees the Mercedes move over a bit, but now he gets the place. 9 seconds for the 2 McLarens, by the way. So Drifting and Chaz pretty much fighting for the podium here. Yeah, Drifting wants a 3rd podium, and Chaz will want a 1st podium on return. 3.2 then between Oren and Seb. If Oren gets a 3-second, it's still all open for the win. I haven't checked warnings. It's going to come as a surprise if anything happens. So let's also check Morgan. He's 20.2 off the lead. And we'll come back to that. He is in free air, so he is able to push. As sliding is Joe F1 guy in P11. Bluey, I haven't mentioned that as well, is currently in P10, on for his 2nd points finish of the season. He got P10 in Australia, and it could be, well, P9, and it could be P10 in Canada. It's just like Oren's pulling away from Seb, but Seb is pulling away from Carborough. Am's drifting 3.5 behind because he's got Chaz all in his mirrors. As Jack 1.4 behind these two. Chaz all over the back of Drifting. He's going for the outside. Heading into the chicane. Drifting brakes a bit later than Chaz, who's going for the switchback, but he's positioning his car perfectly. And now Chaz has to go round the outside of the Alpine. This is a great battle between the two. And Drifting once again brakes later. And he's made the corner. Really good on the brakes are the Alpine drivers to hold on to the position. 8 laps to go. And yeah, this is a cracking battle as Jack is going to close up to these guys. Drifting, plenty more battery than Chaz. As we'll head into the last chicane. Chaz, good exit. But how much battery compared to? He can't gain enough. Drifting goes defensive to the inside. Slides as Chaz will try a move, but he just can't find a way past that Alpine as Morgan gets in front of Chubster, who also pits for the wets now. So the gap was 20.2. It's now 22 seconds. Morgan's actually losing time to the leaders here. Was it a bit too early to pit onto the wets? Whoa. As Chaz and Drifting swap. Drifting now under pressure as Jack also seems like he's going to get the move on the Alpine. Unfortunate for the man who was P2 in this race. But Jack, even with 6 seconds of penalties, he's still going to be in the fight. Gap looks like it's stabilising between the top two. The two McLarens now closing in on one another. As Drifting back down the inside of the Mercedes to get the place. They're going to remain wheel to wheel. This allows Chaz to get away and claim one hand on that podium. Wheel to wheel stuff then between the Alpine and the Mercedes. Slight contact. As it's just a drag now. Drifting has been better on the brakes, but they brake pretty evenly. Jack can't find a way past. Loses the rear. Goes across. Nothing really wrong there with what Drifting did, so he stays in front. And currently 1.3 now behind Chaz, who is the victor of that battle. And Am's all over the back of Carbro, who lets him go for, I think, the second time in this race. So good teamwork coordination from the two as Carbro's just trying to keep it on the island. Ams, he's going to have to get a 9-second gap to Drifting. Yep, Oren looking good in the lead. He didn't exactly have the greatest start to the season. That's why he's trailing Seb by 54 points. But at the moment, he's going to look to eke into that gap. Fastest lap does still go to Jack, of course, because it was in the dry. So 54 points between these two will go down to 47. And we all thought it was going to be Morgan versus Seb. And whilst Morgan will retain runner-up in the championship at the moment, don't discount Oren. As Drifting holds off Jack. Once again, Drifting has more battery than the guy behind him trying to overtake. And Jack gets another penalty. As it just looks like it unfortunately hasn't worked out for Morgan. He's once again thrown away quite a few points there. As he is now 24.5 seconds off. The strategy has not worked out. These guys are going to take the Inters to the end. And Morgan, who was running up, well, it would have been about second, or it would have been second in front of Seb, and they would have been fighting. But no, Morgan has thrown away 10 points there. So Oren with 25, Morgan with 4, 21 points gained of the 27 he's behind. As Bluey in front of Chubster, who pits again for the Inters. Now I do have to look at this race director. Interesting. All right. Closest battle on track, Drifting versus Jack. It seems like Nathan said his car shut off when he went into the pits. So I don't know if he meant to retire or not. I didn't even realise Seb has now got a 3-second time penalty. As soon as I was looking at the warnings, he's now got one. It's not really going to affect anything, but it actually, I guess, confirms Oren will be the race winner. Unless we get a safety car. We've only got 1 or 2 laps left for that. Chaz has closed up to the back of Carbro. Chaz, who's driven a really good race today. He's been involved in maybe 1 or 2 incidents, but he's kept his nose remotely clean. Yes, he lost an end plate, but he has kept a cool head in changing conditions and finds himself in a net podium. He's nearly 10 seconds off Seb. So if there was to be a safety car, Chaz would be second, actually. But yeah, he's closing in on Carbro. Drifting, he's going to need a great final few laps to get this podium back, or hope that Chaz gets the penalty. Oren, though, has driven a great race. Pitting under the VSC at the start, gaining ground, and then when they all had to pit, he found track position to be key, when it always is. And for back-to-back victories, to be his first 2 wins in rounds 6 and 7, it sounds a bit familiar to 2007. As on the inside, Chaz just trying to get in front of Carbro, literally pushing him through the corners. And these guys are going to come under some more pressure, as it looks like it is going to be wet conditions soon, and Morgan may gain a bit, but it's not going to be enough, clearly. So yeah, as the rain comes down, as the inters wear out, Chaz to the inside of Carbro. Slight contact. Carbro losing the space, though. Chaz will hang it around the outside, but Carbro's got better momentum. More ERS to stay in front. You can see the rain pouring down. Chaz using all his battery, but stays behind for now. As we have a yellow of, I think that's Joe. Yeah, getting lapped. We'll look back to Chaz and Carbro. Chaz to the outside. Will he brake later? Yes, he will. But Carbro brakes even later in the second phase to place his car perfectly as Jack gets in front of Drifting. And these two are now joining the party as Carbro doing all he can to hold them off. And Can-Ams on his debut. The best debutant at the moment in third. He will still drop behind these lot as Jerafonga retires. That does leave 10. That means Bluey is going to get points. But it'll be P10 as Chubster will get back in front. Oren gets the gap to 5.2 now. And Chaz just looking in his mirrors now. He can afford to lose the place to Jack, but not to Drifting to the inside. More contact between the two. Trying to switch. Same with Chaz. And it's very daring to go to the inside of this next chicane, and he backs out. Slides, as that was nearly on the grass. So close to warnings. On the third last lap, you can see how much the rain is chucking down. You can see how much they are struggling for the first race of the season with rain. It's not disappointing with how much level of talent they're going to have to show. They've been on those inters for about 13 laps now. So easy to lose the car. And Chaz all over the back of Carbro. He's got to get the move. He's got to get it done now. Will he look to the inside of the hairpin? He's going to go for it. It's Chaz F1 with the McLaren. Slight contact. But now he'll have the momentum to get in front and get the place. And so will Jack. But he can't quite get in front of the McLaren. Chaz F1 then into P4. And that gap to Ams would need to double for him to lose the place. But Carbro has come back at Chaz and taken the place away. Chaz all over the back of the McLaren. Not with much battery. Same with Carbro. We start the penultimate lap. Will Chaz go for it to the inside? Yes, he will. Carbro gives him the space. And Chaz not really gives enough space. Carbro comes back at him. And will a switchback happen with the Mercedes? Yes, it will. Jack gets in front of Chaz, who's now in front of Carbro. Banging wheels into the first chicane. Chaz backs off. But they still make more contact. Chaz over the curb. Gets a penalty. Gets in front of Carbro. It's kicking off now. And now Drifting can find himself on the podium. Because Chaz and Carbro slides as he sends it. And Drifting now will try and get back ahead of Carbro. But now he's losing time. Chaz might get that penalty removed. Don't know yet. We'll look to leader. Because Drifting needs to be, what? I think at the moment Drifting will look good. For... it's close, actually. It is close. We'll just see if Drifting can get this podium, and whatever the result is, come the end, could change post-race. Oren, about to start the last lap of the Canadian Grand Prix. Seb will come home for P2. Another podium. Ams just trying his best. And it could still be P5 for Ams on debut, which would be great for him, as Jack has the same amount of pens as him. So 3 debutants, Ams, Jack, and Chubster getting points. Unfortunately, Joe F1 just missed out in P11. But they're all a bit separated now. And yeah, the fight was looking good between Carbo and Chaz, and then it got a bit feisty. Sliding out, Jack just trying to pull away. And he is just sliding out his Carbro. He's lost it. And now if Morgan can get under 9 seconds, he could gain another place. And we'll see the gap go down now. 7.5. But Morgan now gets a penalty as soon as that happens. As it's still going to be kind of close. He needs to gain another 7/10, but on the worst of tyres, I don't think that's going to be the case. And we'll just have to see where drifting ends up. In the end, we know where number 1's going to end up. And it's going to go to Oren. He's got 1 chicane left. Oren through the final chicane. Got his first win last time out in Imola. 1 week later, it's back-to-back victories. Rain or shine, it's Oren P1 in Canada. Oren takes the win. Seb gets P2. Ams gets another time penalty. So, who will be on the podium? It won't be Ams as he crosses the line. It won't be Jack as he crosses the line. Chaz across the line. It won't be him either. It's going to be drifting then, I believe. It is drifting on the podium. And Morgan gets a bunch of penalties to try and chase down Carbro. But he can't quite do it. And even though he got all those pens, I don't think they're going to matter. Morgan gets 8th then. And it looks like Chubster will come home for 9th. And Bluey will get his 2nd points of the season. Crazy race. And if Chaz can get that penalty removed, then maybe Chaz can get the podium. Glitch there with Morgan, by the way, with the DNF. Chubster then, round the final couple corners. Scores P9 in his debut. And then round the final corner, Bluey. Double Williams points finish. It's a 2nd points finish for Bluey then. Australia and now Canada. So back-to-back wins for Oren, who takes the win. Starts to close the gap to Seb. 10 finishes from 17 starters. Hectic race. First race of the season with changeable conditions. This is going to be one long race, Director. Right, we'll get Seb and drifting in again. Oren can't quite... obviously, he's not on Xbox, so we can't interview him. I swear, if Oren wins the championship, he's going to go the whole season without a single interview. Right. Hope everyone watching enjoyed that race. It's quite hectic, but yeah, that's tier 2. Right, Seb and drifting. Right, we got second and third in the party. Of course, again, Aaron can't join, unfortunately. Really needs to get the Xbox
Before we
out.
start, Herosia's left again.
Yeah, I know. Right, Seb, have you included your audio?
Yep.
Alex?
Yep.
Alright, cool. We'll start off with P3. Alex, a quite hectic Grand Prix. Well, to be fair, the both of you were fighting for first and second. You found yourselves at one point in 6th and 7th, but both of you still managed to come through and finish second and third. Obviously, just getting beat by Oren there. But we'll start off with you, Alex. Qualifying, your best ever qualifying result. Front row.
So close, but so far again, man. Every single time.
And
I
then,
always have that one thing he wants.
and then the start, you were fighting with Jack. The three of you, it got a bit close at times. But yeah, just take us through how your race went.
Yeah, dry period was good, wet period not so good. I can't lie, some of the things I witnessed could be execution worthy, but apart from that, not a bad race.
Yeah, you had some fights with Chaz again.
Yeah. What is he doing? Hits me under braking like 3 times.
Still managed to come out in front due to not getting a penalty, but obviously Chaz got his 3-second fighting with, I think, Carbro, so we'll have to have a look at that. I'm sure he'll send that in, but for now it's another podium and it's more points for Alpine as well against RB. I think Alpine actually got in front of RB last time out in Imola in the standings.
Yeah, they did.
Was it by a point?
To be fair,
three
it's not.
points.
It's not really fair. It's Seb by himself.
As once again Josh gave up in a race. He got a drive-through under the VSC, unfortunately. So yeah, Alex gets 15, Morgan gets 4, Seb gets 18. So 19 points for Alpine, 18 for RB. So they extend their lead from 3 points to 4 points.
Yes.
Anyway, well done on the result, Alex. The next race
Thank you.
is
Spain.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, how are you feeling at Spain?
Last time I did a Spain League race, I got taken out by a 12-year-old, but yeah, apart from that, it's fine.
All right. Anyway, we'll move on to Seb
Hello.
in the RB. Your 6th podium out of 7 so far this season.
Yeah.
How was the race for you?
It was good. I knew after last week I needed a good result. So I just I practiced quite a bit, didn't practice my arse off. But yeah. I think it went well. I mean, there was just a point where I knew I couldn't really catch Oren in the wet, and I was just like, let's just switch into not stacking in the wall. Let's not lose any more points. And still in the end, I know Oren's quite far behind in the championship because he didn't race a couple of rounds at the beginning, I don't think. So I know he's still quite far behind, so I didn't mind him winning. It was just, I think he's in 3rd now in the championship, or he's quite close to Morgan at least.
Yeah, he's 3rd.
But obviously he's still he's closer to Morgan than Morgan is to me now, especially after that result.
Yeah, I think you extend your lead from Morgan from 27 to 37.
Yeah.
And Aaron from 54 goes down to 47. 20.
So my
Something
gap
like
to Aaron's 47.
I think so. I can double check for you real quick.
Either way,
It was
everything points wise really went my way. Realistically,
yeah.
there was nothing more I could ask for in a sense.
Oh,
Obviously,
right, I see. Okay, so Seb, you have a 41-point lead ahead of Morgan, who's 6 points in front of Aaron. Yeah.
So yeah, 40. Yeah. So yeah, it's gone very good so far this season, and obviously to have a 40-point lead now.
Yep.
It is very good, and that does mean I'm not going to miss any rounds, but I can afford to have these kind of results where Oren can finish in front and I can follow behind him. But I knew that as soon as the rain came, it was anybody's game really.
Morgan
I know
was actually in the
Morgan's
fight, but then he decided to unravel it by pitting for
it's
wets, unfortunately.
it's his tires. He can't go long in the wets, like in the wet and the inters.
All
His
right.
tires burn up and use a bunch of percent way too quick,
Okay,
and then
I
yeah,
see. Um, yeah, because obviously you were about to have a battle with him before he then pitted for wets at the end. Well, with about
yeah.
10 laps to go. Um, so yeah, for now, I don't think you really got involved in much.
No, not really.
Just the odd contact between either drifting or Jack at the start. But did you enjoy that fight?
Yeah, I did. I do. Me and Drifting kind of, had to team up a bit with being on the mediums
Mm.
compared to that
Oh
Jack on
yeah,
the hards.
for both of you, was the plan always just to go to the rain, not pit until then?
Yes.
Yeah, but
Ah.
we honestly did think the rain was going to come a bit early, which is why we started on the mediums.
Yeah.
But then obviously we both kind of fucked up paying for softs, thinking the rain was going to come in another 5 or 10 minutes. Then the rain started coming underneath the safety car, and we were a bit like, what do we do now? So we just pit again, and obviously, if I pitted first time onto Inters, could have been a different story of the race. I had very strong pace at the beginning on the Inters, but but my pace kind of fell off a cliff, which is when I kind of went,
Whoops.
I have to finish this race. I don't want to put it in a wall and then lose even more points.
Whoops, my controller turned off. I was asking how are you feeling about Spain, Seb?
Spain is solid. Like, I'll have to do some proper practice on it before I can really give anything. I've done one race around there. In qualifying, I qualified really close to Morgan. I think it was like the same gap that we had at Brazil. I actually think
Right.
between us, just instead of for pole, it was like for 5th and 6th.
Mm.
But then it was a ret race, and then
Yeah.
obviously
I think Morgan.
what happened?
Yeah.
The Morgan happened again, and then retired. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see what happens in Spain drifting. The last 3 races have really been pretty good from you.
Yep.
You're coming up through, and I'm sure that first win is right around the corner. Seb,
Should
I'm sure.
could have been here.
I'm sure.
I've pinned Drifting's first win to be at Mexico
Interesting.
for some reason. I just feel it.
Yeah, Seb, another podium for you. A 41-point lead then in the standings as we have approached a third way done with the season. We'll head into round 8 then next week at Spain. Well done on Oren once again, and if he can gain 7 points on Morgan, he now is the closest contender to Seb. But we'll see you next time out in Spain then.
Adios.